Welcome to Tending Your Dreams with host Anita Brooks, offering you stories, skills, and strategies for living life with real courage and rare passion. You are created for an abundant life. The question is, are you living it? Dare to choose a life of passion now. Warning, some of the subject matter may get real and raw, with occasional laughter, but that's where the great stuff comes from. So, are you ready? It's time to get serious about your dreams. Let's Tend Talk.
Welcome back to Tending Your Dreams. Today I want to talk to you about something that I discovered years ago that changed my life. It's something that I use both professionally and personally. I teach it in the business coaching that I do. I do it as keynote presentations sometimes. But I'm telling you, this is one of those very simple concepts that can change your life. What I'm talking about is something that I termed invisible drains. These are those things in your life that cost you time, energy, money, and other resources, but we don't necessarily identify them as the true source of our anger, our frustrations, our hardships, our challenges, even our hurts or our pain. So what are invisible drains and how can we start plugging them? That's what I want to share with you today as we tend our dreams and we look at how invisible drains might be affecting us. So to start, some of the more common invisible drains that I've identified, they actually interact with our minds and our bodies and our spirits. Let me tell you what I mean. So for instance, when it comes to body issues, physical issues, I just want you to think for a minute. Why is it so easy for us to become couch potatoes? I don't know about you, but it doesn't take any motivation at all for me to want to kick back, throw my feet up, just relax and veg in front of the TV. However, that very act, and especially if I do it over and over again, can be one of those things that undermines my dreams. And it's an invisible drain, but it drains a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, and a lot of other resources from my life. I don't know why it's so much more difficult to take care of ourselves. We know it's necessary. We know that if we want to tend a dream long term, that we need to take good care of our bodies. But so many times we don't do what's best for our bodies. And then we feel the consequences of that invisible drain. Now, sometimes physical issues can go deep. Just for instance, in the last few years, I have finally identified that I have a very serious thyroid problem. Talk about an invisible drain. It affects my energy. There have been times when, as much as I work to push through, I can tell you that it's almost like I felt like I was drugged. I felt almost a cloud of fatigue over me. When you're a dream tender, the last thing you want is that kind of weight pushing you down. Another area that caused an effect was mental fog. You know, that there's this brain fog that can come with thyroid issues because if you're not familiar with what the thyroid does, it's actually a little gland in your neck that is kind of shaped like a butterfly. But that little butterfly can alter everything. It impacts your metabolism. It impacts your energy. It impacts your body's ability to process nutrients. It affects your brain's job in sending signals to the rest of your body. That little thyroid may be small, but it is like the engine beneath the hood. It is invisible, but it touches everything. If it's not operational, you are not going to be able to operate to tend your dreams. So when I had the brain fog, what that looked like for me was having trouble concentrating as much as I normally would be. I just wasn't quite as sharp. Or it would take me longer when I would read something. I've been very blessed that when I read, I can retain things, fairly quickly and long term. But boy, there for a while, I was really struggling in that area. And it gave me a new appreciation for people who don't have the natural abilities that I have when it comes to retention. That mental fog, it was one of those things where it would cause me to have to reread something over and over. So that was a time drain in my life. So I knew that I needed to get something done about my thyroid problems. I went to the doctors. Actually, I went to multiple doctors. And frankly, they tried to help me, but I fall into this category of what they call low normal. So that kind of limits their ability to be able to treat me. So I knew that I was going to have to do something basically on my own. And it took months and months of research and digging deep to find some answers to what I needed for that thyroid. Now, I'm going to share the thyroid protocol on another show. We're not going to delve into that deeply at this time. But my point is this: if you have any kind of a physical ailment, it can metaphorically paralyze you. When it comes to tending your dreams, if you are distracted by either pain or frustration because your body is not working at its optimal level, it can make it very, very hard to tend those dreams. But one of the things that has helped me as I went through this is to think about the people who are literally paralyzed. People whose stories I've read or I've seen in a movie or a documentary or I've watched them interviewed, and they inspire with their positive attitude. And I realized that no matter what state we're in, that we can make a difference by choice in spite of uncontrollable circumstances. So the first responsibility that we have is to take good care of ourselves, to do our very best, to put our body at its best. If we don't, after a while, it will catch up with us. If a physical issue is hindering your ability to tend your dreams, look at how you're reacting to it. That may very well be your greatest invisible drain, is your reaction. Ask yourself, are there ways to work around this ailment? Can I do less until I'm strong enough to do more? Or is there a greater purpose hidden in this pain? Those are all ways that can help you if you're dealing with a physical issue that no matter how hard you tried and everything you've done, it's just not improving. But I will be honest, I think for most of us, really, it comes back to what are we doing or what are we not doing? So take care of your body so that you are equipped to tend your dreams. Well, another issue that affects our dreams and can be an invisible drain are emotional and mental in nature. One of the greatest is childhood conditioning. It's an invisible drain for most of us. So let me ask you, do you ever slow down to consider why you do what you do and how you go about your days? You see, much of our mental self-talk often mimics voices from our pasts. It's things that maybe our parents said to us, or grandparents, or aunt and uncle, or teachers, or coaches, or a myriad of other adults from when we were children who maybe spoke negativity into our lives. And maybe they even meant well. Maybe it wasn't that they were trying to be negative. Maybe they thought that they were motivating us, but instead it deflated us. Well, you see, a lot of us carry that around with us as adults. And when you are an aspiring dream tender, if you are not careful, the childhood conditioning that you carry with you today can be an invisible drain affecting your emotions and your mental thoughts. Well, another common invisible drain from that perspective comes from efforts to juggle the projects and people and processes in our lives. Well, let me ask you, do you ever strive to people please? Do you feel pressure to get more done? Do you beat yourself up because of your reactions? Do you expend volumes of time and energy wishing life was easier? See, simply understanding the root causes of our thoughts can provide welcome deliverance. Realizing the why behind what we do can relieve our anxious concerns. And sometimes, without realizing it, we have unresolved grief that needs attention. so we can be set free from the ghosts of our past. Tending our dreams is as much about what we do with our minds as anything that we do with our bodies or even out in the wider world. You can work day and night. You can go without sleep. You can invest mountains of money. But if you have emotional or mental issues, and when I say that, I'm not talking about a mental disease, but I'm just talking about those kinds of weights that people can carry with them throughout a lifetime unaddressed. If you have that, it is going to be an invisible drain. It's going to pull a lot of positivity out of you. It's going to undermine your efforts without you even realizing that it's happening. So really think about what you're saying to yourself. I'm going to talk about self-talk in a very soon upcoming show. I urge you not to miss that. Self-talk is one of those things that can either make or break your dreams. Well, another area is spiritual issues. We often hear it so much that I think it begins to sound cliche. Take care of your body, mind, and spirit. But see, the spiritual issues are those soul deep places that can leave us longing for more out of life. If we attend to our bodies and minds, but we fail to consider our spirits, we will eventually find our dreams falling flat. We can lose the drive, the desire, and the passion to continue if our spirits aren't fed. What does that look like for me? If I become spiritually weak, I lose my motivation. If my spirit is flagging, I'm not inspired, and I certainly don't have any ability to inspire others. And see, that's one of my dreams. I live to educate, inspire, and encourage other dreamers, other influencers. See, whether you realize it or not, you are influencing someone. I ask this question often. We all influence someone, but the question is, do we influence well? My buddy Darren Dake actually inspired that thought because he says we all lead someone, but the question is, are we leading well? But we do influence. And especially if you are a dream tender, a tend talker. I use that term because when we talk, we are talking, tending your dreams. But if your spirit feels flat, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to influence or inspire anyone else. But I have found that there are things that I can do that can feed my spirit. Spending times outdoors seems to be one of those most energizing activities that fits my spiritual needs. There's something about watching the squirrels play or seeing the greens and the browns and the reds and oranges and the blues displayed on earth and in the heavens. I love whenever I look up at the sky and it just seems like God's paintbrush has crafted this beautiful landscape. And sometimes I think maybe it was just for me. But hearing the birds sing, feeling the breeze on my face, breathing in the sense of nature, all of that infuses my soul with a sense of peace. And it restirs, refuels me to be able to tend my dreams. Another spiritual practice that I've personally developed is meditation. Finding a place of solitude and silence. In my case, I soak up scripture. I listen to God as well as speak to Him in a private space. I don't know what it is that feeds your soul, but I encourage you to tend to the spiritual issues in your life because it's going to help you fulfill your dreams. And then there's one more area that I really want to talk about when it comes to invisible drains. So often, people are not fully aware of themselves. And our unawareness of exactly how we've been wired, what makes us who we are, what drives our preferences, if we don't know that, it can create chaos and craziness when we don't get what we want, because frankly, we don't even understand ourselves why we react the way that we do. So what I want to share with you is just a really tiny summary of some of my teachings as a certified personality trainer. I found that understanding human personality literally improves every aspect of your life. I use this in business coaching. I use this in personal life coaching. I use this in marriage coaching. I use this in my relationships with family and friends and acquaintances and professional relationships. If there's an area where human beings are involved, I have found that personality information makes all the difference. So let me just give you a quick synopsis of what I'm talking about. Now, when I start, I'm just going to tell you that the labels that I use are simply adjectives that describe what that personality aspires to have more of in their life. So the first one I want to talk about are the popular personalities. Their filter in life is having fun. They want at least a little fun in every day. And if there isn't any, they're going to do their best to lighten things up. But beware, if their fun meter gets broken, they are not very fun to be around. Now, another personality is the powerful. The powerful personality is driven to do things fast. They always have a long to-do list, either mentally or in black and white, that motivates them and helps them motivate others to get more done. They are the doers. But if they don't get to check things off that list, watch out. You will know it. Another personality are the perfects. Perfect personalities need things done right. Their philosophy is, what's the point if you aren't going to do it right? They analyze and organize the rest of us in hopes of getting us on board with their better ways. But beware of their backlash when people cut corners, rush, or disregard details. Now, the peaceful personalities, they want an easy existence. No pressure, no discomfort, no conflict. That's their preferred way of getting through life. They often step up to help their fellow man or woman and don't understand why others have a hard time keeping it simple and letting things roll. If they feel blindsided, cornered, or drawn into conflict, prepare for immediate shutdown. Now, those are the 4 basic personality types that I teach. And let me just tell you, every personality assessment program out there essentially goes back to the 4 basic types. Hippocrates, way back in 400 BC, is credited as first having identified the 4 basic human personality types. Now, he used Greek terms. For the popular personality, his term was a sanguine. For the powerful, it was choleric. Perfects were melancholy, and peaceful was phlegmatic. But it's hard for us in today's society to remember those kinds of terms. So I believe in keeping it simple. And also using it in such a way that that application can change your life. It can make things better. It can help plug those invisible drains. So when you consider invisible drains, ask yourself this: how does my personality affect my thinking, my going about life? Are there things that are intrinsically wired into me that I want or need, and I'm not recognizing that, and so it's causing an invisible drain in my life? So many people miss this very crucial aspect as they go throughout their days. And any wise dream tender knows that it is so important to know yourself and also to understand that other people do not see life through the same lens as you do. When you get a deeper understanding of human personality, it can help you so that you don't have to have as much conflict. You don't have to worry so much about what somebody else does that's different than you, or to be as frustrated about it, frankly. It gives you a thing to point to instead of a person. That peaceful personality. Like I said, if they feel blindsided, cornered, or drawn into a conflict, they'll shut down, immediate shutdown. But if you have a powerful personality, they won't necessarily understand that because that personality is not afraid of conflict. That right there can cause a relational invisible drain. So 10 talkers, let me ask you, what is draining the life out of your dreams? Identify your invisible drains. What are those areas that are costing you time, energy, money, and other resources? I tapped more into those areas that affect us, on an individual level. But what are some of the practical things? Are there financial drains that you have in your life? What are they? Do you have relational drains? Are there things that you need to go back and plug that have been left unattended for a very long time? I promise you, sometimes it feels awkward and uncomfortable going to address those, but when you do, you will be able to take a deep breath and go, wow, why didn't I do that a long time ago? And if you want to tend your dreams, you're going to have to learn how to do that. You know that TEND is an acronym that I've created, and the T in TEND stands for take courage. So if you have an invisible drain and you identify it, my first challenge to you is to take courage and decide to do something to plug that drain. The E is excel daily. How can you excel in making sure that instead of ignoring those invisible drains, that you do something about them? N is never give up. If and when you identify those invisible drains, never give up in your attempts to plug them and to improve things so that you quit having those important areas of time, energy, money, and other resources seeping from your life in an uncontrolled way. D is dare to dream bigger. When it comes to invisible drains, dare to dream bigger. Dare to dream. Imagine a life where you have been proactive and you have went and plugged your drains, where you stop blaming other people, you don't make excuses, and you step up and you say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I can make my dreams come true and maintain them when I do. Well, 10 talkers, this is a very big subject, and I actually have more information that I'd like to share with you. Some ways to go deeper in plugging those invisible drains. So I'm going to make this a part 1 show. And then on part 2, I'm going to ask you some key questions to help you become more adept at not only identifying those things that are taking the best parts of your dreams away, but to show you how you can use that to close those off, plug them up, so that you stop losing and stop having consequences that frankly are just making you tired and making you feel like maybe you're not going to be able to pursue this dream or keep this dream alive. Because I do not believe that is true. I believe in you. And 10 talkers, I want you to come back next week and we'll do part 2. But I also want you to get this week's free giveaway. Simply go to tendyourdreams.com/freebie31 and grab that. Until then, I'll see you next week, and don't forget to tend.
Thank you for joining us today. We encourage you to take the challenge and start tending your dreams. What's the next best step you should take? Tune in next time for a dose of fresh inspiration and practical motivation. You can do this. Go and tend your dreams.